Nought Nothing. There once lived a king and a queen, as many a one has been. They were long married and had no children, but at last a baby boy came to the queen when the king was away in the far countries. The queen would not christen the boy till the king came back, and she said, "We will just call him Nought Nothing until his father comes home." But it was long before he came home, and the boy had grown a fine, bonny laddie. At length the king was on his way back, but he had a big river to cross, and there was a whirlpool, and he could not get over the water. But a giant came up to him, and said, "I'll carry you over." But the king said, "What's your pay?" "Oh, give me Nought Nothing, and I will carry you over the water on my back." The king had never heard that his son was called Nought Nothing, and so he said, "Oh, I'll give you that in my thanks into the bargain." When the king got home again, he was very happy to see his wife again, and his young son. She told him that she had not given the child any name, but just Nought Nothing, until he should come home again himself. The poor king was in a terrible case. He said, "What have I done? I promised to give the giant who carried me over the river on his back Nought Nothing." The king and the queen were sad and sorry, but they said, "When the giant comes, we will give him the henwife's boy. He will never know the difference." The next day the giant came to claim the king's promise, and he sent for the henwife's boy, and the giant went away with the boy on his back. He traveled till he came to a big stone, and there he sat down to rest. He said, "Kidge, Hodge, on my back, what time of day is that?" The poor little lad said, "It is the time that my mother, the henwife, takes up the eggs for the queen's breakfast." Then the giant was very angry, and dashed the boy on the stone and killed him. Back he went in a tower of a temper, and this time they gave him the gardener's boy. He went off with him on his back till they got to the stone again, when the giant sat down to rest, and he said, "Kidge, Hodge, on my back, what time of day do you make that?" The gardener's boy said, "Sure, it's the time that my mother takes up the vegetables for the queen's dinner." Then the giant was as wild as could be, and killed him too. Then the giant went back to the king's house in a terrible temper, and said he would destroy them all if they did not give him Nought Nothing this time. They had to do it, and when he came to the big stone, the giant said, "What time of day is that?" Nought Nothing said, "It is the time that my father the king will be sitting down to supper." The giant said, "I've got the right one now," and took Nought Nothing to his own house and brought him up till he was a man. The giant had a bonny daughter, and she and the lad grew very fond of each other. The giant said one day to Nought Nothing, "I've work for you tomorrow. There is a stable 7 miles long and 7 miles broad, and it has not been cleaned for 7 years, and you must clean it tomorrow, or I will have you for my supper." The giant's daughter went out next morning with the lad's breakfast, and found him in a terrible state, for always as he cleaned out a bit, it just fell in again. The giant's daughter said she would help him, and she cried all the beasts in the field, and all the fowls in the air, and in a minute they all came, and carried away everything that was in the stable and made it all clean before the giant came home. He said, "Shame on the wit that helped you, but I have a worse job for you tomorrow." Then he said to Nought Nothing, "There is a lake 7 miles long, and 7 miles deep, and 7 miles broad, and you must drain it tomorrow by nightfall, or else I'll have you for my supper." Nought Nothing began early next morning and tried to lave the water with his pail, but the lake was never getting any less, and he didn't know what to do. But the giant's daughter called on all the fish in the sea to come and drink the water, and very soon they drank it dry. When the giant saw the work done, he was in a rage, and said, "I the work